Doody situation. If you remember yesterday, I did a segment about one of my detractors named Doody Streams, how he inadvertently self-exposed and felt it himself, because for so long he'd been saying things like, oh, I detract on Phil for fun. I do it because, you know, I'm wealthy and I don't need to worry about income. And so it's not about that. You know, Phil says that his detractors only detract on him because there's profit in it. That's not why I do it at all. Right? But then for a completely unrelated reason, he decides to disclose all of his YouTube analytics, and he shows that he's probably making at a minimum 60 grand a year just doing it. And probably more, because there's probably super chats and tips and other things involved. Like, he literally self-exposes himself as an insane hypocrite. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, it's like I said, the way these things are working out, I've been in the game for so long, okay, that basically I don't have to do anything. All these people who've come up against me and used me as a stepping stool to get ahead, they made fun of me, they derided me, you know, everyone crap on Darkside Phil. What's happening now is I survived it all, and I'm coming out the other end of the tunnel, and they're all crumbling on their own. I mean, Review Tech is probably the first of many, I would think, that this is going to keep happening to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have to lift a finger. That guy for a decade crapped on me. And now he's in his downward spiral, right? And what's happening is now people's eyes are being opened, and they're starting to look at these people who have detracted on me for years. And they're like, wait a minute. What are they doing over there? Like, people were like, oh, I watched this guy's clips to get highlights of Phil. But then they actually start looking at, wait a minute. I went into Phil's channel, and I started watching his channel, and it was good. But then I take the glasses, I go over their channel, right? And it's different. I don't understand. How could it be one but then the other? Because it's not. Because their content's crap. It always has been. It's always been spun to be a lie. It's always been spun or over-exaggerated to be drama, negative shit, so they can make $1 on your back. So literally what Doody did is he accidentally showed the public that the reason he does it is because he's making tons of money. Because yesterday I made a challenge to Doody. I said, so if you're not a hypocrite and you don't do it for money, demonetize your channel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been 24 hours and Doody has not demonetized his channel. He never will, because he's a pussy, and because he's a coward, and because he's a liar, and because he's a hypocrite, and because he's a lowlife, and because he's a scumbag, and because he's a waste of fucking life. These people are leeches and parasites. The only reason Doody exists is because of me. If I didn't exist, he wouldn't exist. You understand that? He's a worthless human. Worthless. All he needs to do is get a life. And he won't. And he will never, ever, ever, ever live up to the things he boasts about and says, because he's full of shit. So don't listen to him. There's no reason to watch his content. Now, here's the thing. What needs to happen is not attacks on these people, not people, you know, going crazy. Here's what needs to happen. Just stop watching their content. I'm clipping my content. If you wanted to see the segments from yesterday's show that were the hot topics, they're clipped right here on this channel. You can check them out, right? What other people want to see is me raging at video games. I promise you, once we get into games where I'm kind of raging, I'll start clipping that. Really, I'll be honest, with Black Myth Wukong, it only happened maybe once or twice, and I didn't really find it that entertaining, which is why I haven't clipped it. I really could. I could clip all those rage moments when there's like classic rage and problems happening and I fuck up in a game. I could clip that too, okay? I'm down for that. I'm trying to clip the things that I think you're going to like the most. And quite honestly, the things I've clipped are getting good views. So I think I am clipping the right content right now. But I would love to clip content also for my gameplay. All right. But the point is, you don't have to watch their garbage anymore, because you can watch the actual content on the channel. Do you understand? And now the people that are over there, what's going to happen is, if people actually wise up, right? Which I think they will. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a decline now. It's not going to be fast, but you're going to start to see a slow decline of people who are watching that toxic shit. Because instead, they could just be here with the positive community, having fun, interacting, and then seeing the real content for what it is, celebrating rather than detracting, correct? Laughing with instead of laughing at. I'm totally okay at laughing at myself, man. You know that. This whole king thing is a joke. It's not serious. I don't think I'm actually a king. It's funny. It's a silly thing we're running with. right? That's why we're doing it. I can make fun of myself and laugh at myself just like you guys do, right? And thank you for that, for being here, for hanging out. You know what I mean? But what we need to do is systematically allow people to have their eyes opened over time to how crappy, toxic, and shitty that content is and come to the source, right? Take a look at what Doody does. He literally will rebroadcast and clip my content, use hashtags of my name in my channels, and he posts the video first before I can post my raw content because I'm still broadcasting. I want you to think about how desperate he is. That's how he makes his content and gets his views, because he steals my content and posts it before I can. He's a fucking low-life, degenerate thief. He's a scumbag. He's a piece of shit. That's why his name is Doody. Get it? So, I don't have to do anything. These people will fall on their own. All right? But it's just funny to me. This guy is the big talker, right? Oh, I don't need to make money. I don't need to do this. I lay down the law and say, well, if you're going to be truthful to who you say you are, demonetize your channel. Has he done it? Fuck, no, he hasn't. He never will, because he's a pussy. You understand? He's a coward. He's not who he says he is. He's a waste of life. So, if you're smart, you'll stop watching that shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Anyway, we're done with Doody. All right? I don't need to talk about him anymore. So, I also have a follow-up. I want to talk a little bit about Black Myth Wukong. And give you a follow-up to what I think about the game, because now I'm about 12 hours in. I want to see I'm around 12 hours in. I did have 11 parts. 10 parts, but I think one or two of those parts were about an hour and a half long. And so at this point, all right, what's going on with Black Myth Wukong? Well, being around 12 hours in, I'm nearing the end of chapter 2. In fact, I already found the final boss of chapter 2, and if I beat him, we would advance to chapter 3. But what I'm finding is two things. Number one, once you get a certain, chunk into the game becomes incredibly customizable. And what I mean by that is, dude, you can play the game so differently. Already I found 3 different stances that you can use with the staff, and I'm using... Everyone, Darkside Phil here. The only detractor channel that I watch is Doody Streams.